So you can price jobs correctly and still lose margin during execution. The real question is not what you sold it for, but what you're going to land at. And so in this video, I'm going to walk you through the KPI that separates disciplined project control from reactive damage control. And so I'm going to show you how to create this heat map for margin slippage. And so let's get started. We have this data set here, which is pretty straightforward. It's just it's pretty basic PM, data set. So it just has, what is the project, what is the work, and then the main things that we want. We're not going to be doing this. We're not going to be slicing this on dates, although you 100% can. And after you learn how to do this, you'll be able to do it by dates, by whatever field you want to use. So we're going to be doing it off of job type, and then you're the PM. And the only two columns we have to calculate are the planned gross profit and the forecast gross profit. So we have planned revenue, and then we have planned cost, and then we have forecast revenue, and we have forecast cost. And so, I mean, I'm sure you know the different terminology, but essentially, planned revenue is while you're scoping out the project, and forecast is like while you're doing the project. And so these formulas are really straightforward. It's just subtracting the two. And so I'll redo them, but it's planned gross profit is just planned revenue minus planned costs. And then forecast gross profit is just forecast revenue minus forecast cost. And so you can see these equal this. And so now I'm going to delete these because we don't need them. We already have them. Okay, so what we need now is we need a unique list of the PMs and a unique list of the job types. So to get a unique list, I'll just type in PM here and then equals unique and just go to the data set. And this is in a table, so like the formula is going to look a little bit different. Instead of like GG, it's going to be table PM project level PM, right? The table name, and then in the brackets is the column heading. And then just close your parentheses there, and then you got this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort this real quick, just to be alphabetically. Okay, so we have that copy, Control Shift V to paste, and then the same thing at the top for job type. But this time, I'm not even going to go over to the table. Because I know what the headings are. And if you don't quite know what the headings are, once you type in the table, it'll give you all of the headings, which is a really good reason to use tables. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to sort this alphabetically. So sort. And so it's sorted. And then the final thing is I want to put it across the row here so we can use the transpose function. So transpose, bracket, sort, bracket, unique, bracket, table, bracket, job type, and then close everything. And so you have this here. So Control C, Control Shift V to remove the formulas. Okay, so let's just sort of walk through this. How do we get slippage? And the way we do that is we need to calculate for commercial Dan, we want to calculate the planned gross profit divided by the planned revenue, and then subtract the forecast gross profit divided by the forecast revenue. So, I mean, this formula looks like a beast, but don't worry, it's not so complex. It's long, but it's not hard. So the first thing is we want to do sum FS, and we want to do the gross profit, what we calculated, right, for planned. So what we have here is we have planned gross profit. Close your bracket, comma, and then we want to filter that. We also want to add the filter of commercial and then the PM. So you can choose whichever one you want first. The main thing is that the first argument in SumIfS is going to be the numerical value. But the other stuff you can do in whatever order you want. So I'll do job type here, comma, and then table PM, comma, here. And then I'll just press enter. So essentially this is the expected gross profit for commercial for Dan in the data set. This isn't by month, so this is in the data set. And now we need to divide this by gross revenue, planned gross revenue. So all we have to do is copy this, Control C, and then divide by the same thing, but just change planned gross profit to planned revenue. And so this is the first margin number. So we have this. Now we need to redo this at the forecast level and then subtract the two, right? So earlier when I said that, the formula looks crazy, but it's not that bad, it's because it's the same thing sort of over and over. You're just changing one little variable. So this is going to be minus and then paste. And then now instead of planned gross profit, I'm going to do forecast gross profit. And then instead of planned revenue, I'm going to do forecast revenue. And then that's the answer, just like that, right? So it looks hard, but once you sort of understand how to do some of these things, it's not that bad. And so Control Shift and the number 5, and then I'm going to add a decimal. Okay, so we want to drag this over and drag this down, but the problem is that we need to set the referencing. And so you see how everything's on commercial here, which is good, but as I go down, it comes down with it. You can see right here it goes to C3 when it should be C2. So essentially, anywhere in the formula you see C2, you need to put a $sign between to lock the row. Meaning as you drag it over, it will change, but as you go up and down, it will not change. And then for the red, Dan Russo, as we drag it top to bottom, we do want it to change, but as we drag it over, we do not want it to change. So just put the $sign before the column, so before the letter for those. Okay, and now just you still can't drag it because the nature of tables. You can drag it down and it's going to work, but if you drag it over, it's not going to work. And the reason is because you can see this should be planned gross profit and it's moving to forecast gross profit. But the answer is just copy and paste. And you have your answers here. And so a couple more things I want to do is just an overall by job type and an overall by PM. And so with here, what we can do is we can just copy this formula, paste it here, and we just have to strip out anywhere there's the PM, right? Anywhere it looks like this, just strip this out because we're not doing it by PM, right? We're doing it by the job type. For this one, when we do the other overall, we will do it by PM. And so here, take this out. Make sure to delete that comma, but don't delete this bracket. Yeah, just have to do it a couple times here, and then one more time here. And then copy, paste, Control Shift 5, and then 1 decimal. And then for here, sort of the same thing. It's just now we're gonna strip out the PM. Now we're going to strip out the job type. So anywhere you see, I'm just going to do it up here in the formula just because it's easier. So anywhere you see the blue, and it's not always going to be blue, it could change colors on you. A little bit confusing sometimes. Sort of hard to see. Copy, paste, and you're good. And so that's how you do it. Pretty straightforward. And then you can see your slippage. I mean, 2%, 1%, it might not seem like that much, but, hundreds of thousands of dollars per person, it adds up, right? What I'll do is let's do a target cell. So here, say anything above 1.5%, I want to highlight red. So I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to hold down Control, highlight this, go to Home, Conditional Formatting, highlight cells, greater than, and then click this cell here. And everything's red. But if you lower this number, if you increase this number, it will, it'll be more dynamic, 2.5. Okay, and then the last thing I want to show in this video is, maybe you're going to share this with a member of your team, and you want it to say, target. target 2.5%. But everything breaks, and the reason is because this is being stored as text, and we need this to be a number. You can't compare numerical values to text values, right? So we want to show this with the word target, but we want it to be formatted as a number. So just, type in the number again, and then press Control-1 to bring up the format cell dialog box, go to custom, and you should see 0.0%, and then quotations, target, colon, space, quotations, okay. And now you have your changing cell. Right, 1.5, everything's above 1.5, 2, and so yeah. So anyways, that's how you do this. A little bit of a complex formula, but in the end, it's just the same formula over and over again. You're just changing what you're summing. And so, as always, if you have any questions on this, shoot me an email. Questions at databoards. Help with this file. If you want this file, there's a link to download it. If you can't find it, shoot me an email. And also, if you need some help recreating something like this, or if you need some help getting insights into your data, then there's a link to my calendar, or you can just shoot me an email. But anyways, that's all I got for this one, and I'll see you in future videos.